Well, hello everybody, namaste. Welcome to my channel, Musings by Masha. I'm Masha and I'm so excited to be here. Please give me a thumbs up if you can see and hear me okay. So I just know that the sound is good and the video quality is good. So we are all online and ready to go. Yes, Tarothon, how amazing it has been thus far. I've been learning a lot. I've been taking notes and even watching Jen just now, Science to Soul Tarot with Jen, how amazing her feature was and how applicable and practical it was, wasn't it? And thank you so much, Jen, you're fabulous. And I'm sure we all enjoy and took quite a lot of nice tips away from your video. And a couple of mine that I really want to implement is the one to journal tomorrow, why I chose tarot. And the other one is really paying attention on my breathing when I shuffle the cards. I also wanted to say thank you so much. Thank you to our Simon from the Hermit's Cave for organizing the event, for organizing the Tarothon, third year running now. And also I want to thank all of our presenters and people, our friends who have been helping a lot and supporting us all, each other in kind of in the background through the Facebook group and communication and everything. So thank you so much, everybody. And thank you to all of you who are joining me in this chat today with my topic, Weaving Tarot Majors, the Integrator's Way. So some of you, I know you very well, my friends, and some of you are new to my channel, so you're very, very welcome. I also, just before I get into my feature, want to let you know that I will be doing like little sections. I will give you a rundown of those. And after every section, I will be checking with the comment, just kind of skimming them. So if you have a question or if you want to post a comment and get my attention, please type it in capital letters and please tag me at Musings by Masha. So yeah, Weaving Tarot Majors, the Integrator's Way. I probably should start with my background and who I am, how I see myself. So I see myself as a tarot enthusiast, a student of tarot and a novice of tarot. I discovered tarot only at the end of 2015, but I'm that enthusiast who absolutely loves exploring tarot, diving into tarot history. I am obsessed with historic decks, as many of you know. And now what I'm even more excited in my tarot journey that I'm learning to see, I'm learning to look into the cards. So why I call myself an integrator is just because in all the practices that I do, whether it's tarot practice or yoga practice or meditation, I do integrate learnings from a variety of teachers, from a variety of lineages, and into my practice. So that's why I call myself an integrator, because I integrate and interweave, hence the name of this topic, Weaving Tarot Majors, the Integrator's Way. And I'm also aware, and that's why I love this community, that all of us, we share that passion and love for the tarot. And clearly we've been reading tarot for a while, many of us, so if we're coming to tarot because it's somehow changing your life and gives us that insight. And while I'll be sharing you my view and what I've learned recently and how I approach tarot, I also do understand and I so appreciate that we have very different approaches. We have different tastes in tarot decks. Also, we have different experiences with the cards, and I think that's amazing. And it gives that variety and diversity. So yeah, as I mentioned in my feature, I will be sharing my view, and my view on tarot is using the functional approach to the cards. So what I mean by that, it's just that approach has worked for me, and I've got notes here so I can get through all the information that I've prepared for you to share. So for me, for example, what I mean by functional approach, when it comes to reading the cards, I try to come from the experiential point of view opposed to conceptualize. So when I have an intention, I have a question, I put the card on the table, and my intention is really to get the experience from what I see, rather than bringing with me the concepts that I may have learned from different books, which are so very valid, but it's outside of reading. readings, but when I come to the readings, I kind of try to take that away. And really, firstly, I try to look at the card, so without having any preconceived meanings. So for me, it kind of relates to that concept of bi-individuality, because, what we eat affects differently. If we have the same meal, it will affect differently our bodies. So that's our biology, right? So, and the thing is, like, we are individuals, so we respond differently to different things. But when it comes to tarot, I think biography as well as part of bi-individuality matters. And what I mean by our biography, I mean our cultural background, our cultural associations, our spiritual backgrounds as well, our life experience, our beliefs, the beliefs that we have formed from our birth. It all comes into play, how we respond and react to the card. So it's just given, right? If we really look into the cards. And just to give you a little example, so I'm just going to do something with my body. And can you please type up what comes to your mind first? What's your first reaction? Just type up in the comments what I'm doing. What's your first reaction? If I'm sitting quiet, I'm talking to you and I do that. Just let me know. What's your thoughts on that? If you saw an image or if you saw a person performing that on TV, right? So how would you respond? So yeah, nodding, but what does nodding mean to you? What's the function? Why do I nod? Nodding in agreement, agreeing, you're agreeing with me, agreeing, agreement. Yes, and in most of our cultures it is, right? So, but again, I guess in some way we did make an assumption based on our background and our belief. Like in Bulgaria, if I do that, I say no. And when I do this in Bulgaria, for people, they will see it as a yes. So, and I think the same thing comes to tarot cards. The way we miss the body, the way we read the body language, it can be different. You know, how we perceive it, it can be different from our cultural experience. So not just what we see in the card, but also from our experience that we add on top when we read the card. So yeah, I hope it makes sense. It's just, I know it's not a tarot example, but it's just more the example that I could do without using anything. So that's that. And so for me, I also, my tarot readings now, they have been influenced by Enrique Enriquez and Camilla Elias. So for me, when it comes to my approach to reading, to my functional approach to reading, is all about the context, right? So the meaning is not in the cards, but the meaning is in the context and how the cards play together. So yeah, that's my little introduction. And again, so you see what we assume, like we assume with nodding or shaking of the head, right? It's valid. It can be valid most of the time, but sometimes it does not mean that. Sometimes it's not rather valid. So now I'll just give you a rundown of what I want to cover in my feature today, in my presentation today. So the little sections that I will cover will be my thoughts on tarot as a primary practice, as a secondary practice. Why Marseille? Well, we know that I love Marseille. I will explain. I do love RWS. I appreciate thought as well. Why majors only? And again, in this video, I will be only talking about majors and weaving majors. I love both, but in this video, I want to emphasize why I really like reading with tarot majors and how I do it. So I will share with you more on the cards, just tiny bit, little bit, not really history, but just tipping in and out of that. And then how I approach majors. So how I read the majors from integrating the question, the function of the cards, the direction, the body language, the experience, and our life experience, like my life experience, because I can only speak from my examples, right, into the reading. And we'll also have a little brainstorming section, so we'll just kind of have a little play responding like what we think of the functions of the card. So it will be nice and sharp and quick. And I will share with you 2 or 3 of my favorite spreads, depending how we go with the time, along with just a couple of sample readings that I'll invite you to join, and then I will share with you what I saw in the cards as well. So I hope that sounds exciting. So next one, my thoughts on tarot as primary practice. And again, non-tarot example. The example is Zen meditation. So for example, I suffer from anxiety. I've been under stress. I have read and researched and was recommended to do Zen meditation because scientifically it's proven to reduce my reduce anxiety and the stress levels. So that's my primary focus, right? So I don't go into Zen meditation just to meditate, which Zen means just simply sitting, being alive and present in my body. My primary goal in this example is to reduce my anxiety and stress levels, right? But also my primary goal, for example, if I've been practicing for a while, my primary goal could be that I want to develop that sense of presence and the sense of being and breathing in my body. So you see that nothing is right or wrong coming to that Zen meditation to help you with stress, reducing stress levels, but also is if you kind of want to experience what Zen really means, right? So it's all experiential and comes through the practice, and if that's your primary goal. So the same thing for me comes to the approach to the approach with Tarot. And in our community, and I know quite a few of you here, you have channels and I follow you and I watch you, and we talk a lot, and even in Facebook groups, right? For those of you who are not content creators on YouTube, we talk about hug decks, for example, right? And we talk about shadow works decks and inner child decks. So for me, if I want a hug from a hug deck, or if I want to get some insight on inner child work or shadow work, that's my primary purpose. So I approached my number one thing, my most important thing that I want to do is to get a hug from the deck, to feel comforted, to feel good, or to get insights for my inner child meditation, right? So that's my primary focus. And for that, if that is, Tarot is the means to help me to inspire and to get insight into what I want to focus, what's my primary thing, right? And in this case, then I will probably go and use the beautiful playful heart tarot, which I absolutely love. So we see the Empress here, the Magician, and the Moon card, right? So that's what I would use. But my primary purpose here is not to be a tarot reader or to do a tarot reading as such. My primary primary purpose will be uncover I guess, get that hug, get that message of inspiration, right? So that's that. Another one of my favorite decks, healing decks, I love it, is the Herb Crafter's Tarot. So here we have what do we have here? Cacao, we have garlic and seaweed, right? So we have those three cards, and of course they have correspondences of Madre of Fire, Strength, and Curandera of Water. So I think it's the King of Cups or Queen of Cups. So this particular deck, right? So if I want to receive a healing or inspiration, or what plant would I use, or to help me with my herbal studies and just inspire, give me that extra layering from tarot, that's the deck I would go to, right? But for example, if my husband asked me a question, what he can do to improve his golf game, if I put those three cards on the table, he will tell me, and he does, that I don't see myself in those cards. And whatever you say, even that I know the meanings of the strength and everything, if you follow the meanings, right? Whatever I say to him, he's just, well, I do not see it. I do not see me moving. I don't see any action. Hence, this particular deck, I love it, but that's my healing deck when I want healing as my primary option. And same thing when it comes for me now, I love RWS, and I am dipping my toes into Thor's deck. But for me, RWS, it comes from Golden Dawn. And when we talk about tarot symbols, right, symbols can be fixed and not fixed. So the non-fixed one is our personal reaction to the symbols. But when it comes to Rider-Waite-Smith deck, Smith-Waite deck, well, this one is the large copy of A.E. Waite deck that I've got with me today. We do, the purpose of creating this deck was to include astrology, to include the Golden Dawn symbols, what, for example, A.E. Waite, and same thing with Thor's Tarot when Aleister Crowley wanted to integrate Kabbalah symbols as well, because that was their practice, and using the means of tarot to deepen and to get insight into their spiritual practice. So and the way I see it, really, it's just like an assistant. Those decks that I mentioned, assistant to my tarot practice. So I've got primary purpose of what I want to do, and secondary purpose will be using the means of tarot to help me with that, right? So I hope I explain myself correctly here. But also what I want to mention with the Golden Dawn, well, yeah, I'll mention it now, and then I'll just check the comments. So if you have any questions, you can type them on now. The deck, well, most of you are familiar with either decks, but what we know with Golden Dawn, what we see, the AE weight, right? So and Pixie, of course, was an artist, and they added 0 to the Fool, and the Fool is looking into the past, right? And when in Tarot de Marseille, Fool tends to look in the future. And then we also see the Death. So the Death received the name, the title for the card. And of course, the Justice and the Strengths are in different positions than in Tarot de Marseille it would be. And also what we see in Rider-Waite-Smith deck is that Magician, it's almost a magician was given, well, in Tarot de Marseille, he is more like a street magician and a trickster, and the magician and Golden Dawn perform spiritual magic. So I think it's very relevant if that's what we resonate and if that fits with our practice, right? But also I see this magician is as relevant as well, right? So I just wanted to mention that. Let me just quickly scroll through the comments. What was the cute heart deck? It was Playful Heart Tarot by Kitten Chops, I think. I think we're good here. Okay. So next section of my presentation is to talk about why Marseille. And again, I mentioned that we do have different approaches, we have different preferences, we have different tastes, and I can only talk about me here. With Rider-Waite-Smith, of course, it's a more popular deck, and we know it's probably 10 times more popular, if not more, based on Simon's voting polls through the Hermit group. And I get it. And, well, I absolutely loved Simon's presentations on Pixie and to learn more about her. And one of the reasons why I wanted to actually talk about Marseille Tarot here, because I feel like Rider-Waite-Smith's system has been paid such a great tribute here. I also enjoyed so much Jen's Unbalanced Tarot video of finding the balance and comparison between the cards, which was really insightful for me to watch. But I also wanted to pay tribute to Marseille Tarot, because quite a few of us are either novices to Marseille or actually want to learn from that lineage, right? So I want to dive deeper into that lineage. And also, the other reason, apart from because I wanted to really feature Tarot de Marseille as well, in my feature is, well, I love it, yes, but the second reason is because I see Marseille, and I know there were decks, tarots before Tarot de Marseille, but from my research, Jean Noblet Tarot de Marseille really forms the core and the base of the creation of the modern tarot. So it almost can be seen as an inspiration or as a framework for the tarot decks of the Golden Dawn and of Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot and Thoth, and inspiration for all the modern tarot decks that are available and with such a diversity these days. Me personally, well, the first deck I ever held in my hands was Smith-Waite Tarot. Blushing Fool Tarot is still one of my favorite decks, but this video I just wanted to feature. My primary tarot practice, when I go to tarot with the tarot question to get a tarot answer, how I think I saw Brett here in the chat, how he would say that, and that's for me Tarot de Marseille. It just works for me. That's all that is. And why I also see that, what also from my research, what I have learned about Jean Noblet Tarot de Marseille being the core, and then of course Dodal deck came, and the later 1700s decks came. What we know about A.E. Waite and Aleister Crowley, during those times, French and German languages, they were part of school curriculum, right? So, but there were no English literature available on tarot. But also what we know, because of that availability of French and German as part of the school curriculum, and many people of the Golden Dawn, they were fluent in those languages, so they could really learn from the older French and German books on tarot, and then they can weave it, like I'm weaving into my practice, into their practice and according to their beliefs, right? And because of A.E. Waite, because of the things that he has learned, because what we know about the tarot deck creators and now our modern tarot writers, even if they use symbology or esoteric studies or astrology, they are very rooted in history, and that's what my research shows. So, and please let me know if, because I'm just only speaking from what I've read, what I've learned, right? So please keep sharing what you have learned on that as well, right? On the core, which a core tarot formed the inspiration to the later decks of 1900s, and then of course during our time. So I'll just quickly check the comments here before I move on. Yeah, and I know a few of us don't like Tarot de Marseille, and it's all cool. If you like Tarot de Marseille, amazing. If you don't like it, amazing. Paula has her crafters on her list. Yeah, thank you, Minzy, for sharing that. Okay, so it looks like no questions. If you want to grab my attention, just make sure you type in capitals, because I'm just trying to make sure that I'm on time here as well. So why majors? Why I decided to share with you my journey with the majors and my experience with the majors. So again, probably partially, or more importantly, going back to the source. The way I see tarot, and again, looking back into the history of tarot, I see two complete decks formed another complete deck. And what I mean by that, we had Major Arcana cards, and we added playing cards. And again, what I mean by playing cards is the peep cards that are derived from Mamluk playing cards that were the origin of all the playing cards in Europe, whether you use the German or French system or lineage with playing cards. And if you look at Mamluk, and I think they were around 15th century, if I'm the 1500s, but yeah, if you know, please type in the comments below if you know the more certain date for that. And if you look at Mamluk cards, and you can just Google them, MAMLUK, I think, and you will see, like when you look at Three of Cups, for example, you will see the same arrangement as we see in Tarot de Marseille. So that would grab my interest, why I guess also began to kind of be curious, but how about majors only readings? And why I love majors, because they are archetypal, right? Because well, you know, the majors, the cards and the archetypes, the figures that we see, the creatures we see in the cards, they're very much grounded in Western philosophy, right? And with Western philosophy, of course, with that come archetypal imagery that we associated with the philosophy and spiritual beliefs. So the images are familiar to us. The images are recognizable to an eye. And what I love particularly about Tarot de Marseille is that it's more minimalistic. It's more minimalistic than other tarots, and it's clear. And especially now, as I said, like I'm a novice, so I'm not teaching here. I'm only sharing my experience, and because I'm only learning to see, learning to look, Tarot de Marseille, it just speaks to me, right? Because I don't get distracted by other things, right? Because of the kind of minimal and simpler way, the woodblocky style, they're my favorites. But again, I know they're not everyone's cup of tea, but I think it's still kind of interesting to learn, because they are really the origin of the tarots that you may resonate more in the modern world and find more accurate in your readings and in your practice. So mages, I find them, of course, because they are mages, they're called Major Arcana, they're more powerful, they create more impact. And also what my research showed, and I know that quite a few of you have Jean-Claude Flournoy's decks, so Jean Dodal, Tarot de Marseille, and that's why I kind of wanted to feature the decks that are accessible and not necessarily overly expensive. So this is Jean Dodal Tarot de Marseille, right? And Jean Noblet Tarot de Marseille as well was created by Flournoy, from Jean-Claude Flournoy, who is not longer with us. But also what I found very peculiar, that while the decks have pips, he actually dismissed pips in his practice. He preferred to use mages only. Another thing, of course, Camelia Elias in our tarot circles, she's an amazing teacher. I've been studying with her for a few years now, doing her courses and doing her 3-year program now, which I'm so late for with the assignments because I was preparing for Tarothon. So she teaches pips, yes, but when we do the assignment, when she asks us to do an assignment and do a tarot reading, most likely she would ask us to use mages only. Then we also, of course, heard about Alejandro Jodorowsky, and his big book features pips and he teaches pips, right? But if you look at his YouTube channel, I haven't seen one video of his where he used pips. So Camelia does use pips, but not as often as she, from my experience. Well, she did a reading for me as well, and she used mages only. And those teachers I look up to, particularly Enrique Enriquez, Camelia Elias, and of course Jean-Claude Flournoy, who made Noblet, Dodal, and Reveal decks available for us. So that also got me very excited and curious about mages only. I also like what Enrique Enriquez said about, pips and the mages. He prefers to read, I'm not sure now whether he still reads tarot. He teaches trumps only. He used to teach pips, but not anymore. But what he was saying in one of the interview, and I don't remember which one, what he was saying that, when we remove pips out of the deck, when we hide the pips, we read with mages only, and the readings are more powerful. But also what happens when we add the pips, that the pips are hidden, the mages, the trumps are hidden in between the pips. So again, the trumps get hidden. So it's either we hide the pips or hide the trumps. And I kind of like that point of view, because for me, what do you say, reading with mages only or using the full deck? I say both. So I love both, but recently I've been doing assignments for Camelia Elias, so I've been reading with mages only, and the readings have been very powerful in my experience. But I am waiting for both here. So also what I find more about trumps, that they're more balanced when you look at the amount of male and female figures pictured. And by that, I mean, yes, they're archetypes, because we're looking at the Renaissance Europe, right? But what I'm talking about is just more balance between the feminine and masculine energies. And we have both, whether we are of either gender, right? So it's that balance, like Emperor and Empress are present in the mages. And then we have, of course, the Papess and the Pope. I find them more balanced. Right, just let me check quickly the comments before I move on. Calder Belitero, your first Marseille deck is arriving today. That's exciting. I think I'm very slow with the comments. Just need to check here. I'm just looking for capital, so if I don't see, get into majors. Yay, Sean Loreth. So I'll just quickly scroll. Love Tarot de Marseille and thoughts. Okay, lovely. So more on the card. So what else did I want to mention on the card? Major Arcana cards. So Major Arcana cards represent the human life, right? So we recognize ourselves, and it represents the human life and its progression. So, and what I mean by progression, from a psychological level to from physical level as well, right, to psychological, to spiritual level. And that's why we are so drawn, I guess, to tarot, and to, especially when we see movies, right, the most powerful and impactful readings when we see in movies is when they pull those cards of Major Arcana, right? So it's just another things that it just really, really impactful, because we can really see our life, and those archetypes and the human life is more concretely is reflected in the majors only. And also another thing that is I found very interesting, that, you know, like if I, for example, you are a complete beginner to tarot, right? And I give you either Rider-Waite-Smith deck or Tarot de Marseille deck, full deck of 78 cards, but all the titles will be removed and all the numbers will be removed. So more likely, logically, when you look at the pips, you will organize them from ace. Maybe you will put ace at the back, but most likely you will organize them from 2 to 10, right? Then you will probably kind of recognize the king comes before the queen, right? And you will put the cards in the order. But if I do the same with the trumps, if I give you the pack of trump cards with no titles and no numbers, it's kind of a little bit chaotic, right? And I love that, because human life is like that. Human life is not that structured. Human life changes, and that unpredictability of human life, that we can see through those cards, I think is actually quite amazing, and that's what probably draws so many of us to the cards themselves. So yes, I did mention that Tarot de Marseille comes from the early modern Europe, from the Renaissance era, and that's why while I did hear that it's often referred as a kind of Christian-based deck, I somewhat disagree, because yes, we do have quite a lot of biblical references there, but we also have some pagan references. So if we begin with the cards, so when we see we see the magician, the street magician here, right? So we see the papess and the pope. Oh, that's, sorry, the empress. I'm just kind of looking at my notes. So we see the emperor here. We see the pope or the hierophant. And then the warrior in a chariot. So what we can see from those first cards of the Major Arcana, and I'm kind of leaving full for the last, is that they represent the social status, right? So they represent your status in the society, and they also represent occupations and the level of authority you have. When we look at the Hermit, also if you kind of go and research more a little bit, possibly Greek god Kronos was the inspiration for the Hermit card. And when we look at the lovers, we clearly here we see the Cupid or Eros, depending on which mythology you follow, and that's from a pagan society, right? So when we see the cards like the star, the moon, the sun, they are the celestial bodies and could be associated with could have astronomical influences as well. Then, of course, death is naked to the bone in Tarot de Marseille, and judgment, of course, does have that biblical reference as well, along with Pope. And then we also have three virtues, right? So we have justice, force, or strength, justice, force, and temperance. But again, creating a bit of a chaos if you kind of apply those cardinal virtues with prudence, right? So it's kind of that element of nuance and unpredictability present in the Major's cards, when of course we see the World card is one of the most symmetrical cards in the Majors of the Tarot de Marseille. Majors are always strong and have the strong impact. Yes, I agree with that. It definitely, they have been for me. Thank you, Naomi. Let me just check some more capital. So now we'll just go into practicality. So if you have any questions on why Marseille, why Majors, what Marseille, Neem, you're falling hard from Marseille. I know. And that's exciting. Yes, Bend of Open Reading book, it was one of my influences. Yes, Brad, because, out of the books that I've read, yes, I really, while I don't necessarily use all his teachings, but I have learned a lot from his book. Okay, so let's go into how I read majors. So that's the fun part. So in here, I will be sharing with you how I integrate question, direction, body parts, and my own personal experience into reading the cards. So firstly, of course, for me and Camelia Elias, she emphasizes it a lot that question comes first. So we need to learn to ask a concrete, direct question. Hence, in my own practice, I don't do one card pulls because I look at the cards in the relationship with each other. And another thing is without a question, I don't do the reading because it's not, especially when doing it with majors, because with Camelia, she teaches sharp and snappy readings, right? And one-liners. So if you have 3 cards, how can you do a one-liner out of those 3 cards? So I really love that. So that's that. And of course, function, as I mentioned, I do appreciate, and I've learned a lot from applying functional approach to the cards. So, and after the function, also we look at the obvious: directionality, body language, movement, colors, figures, and body parts. And then secondarily, so we look at the function first, question first, function second, and then we apply our biography, our cultural references, what we pick up from the cards, right? And once again, I did mention it, I like to approach readings these days without any preconceptions, but more like with the beginner mind, arriving to be, to see, and to say, to read what I see. But let's kind of do it together, actually. Well, we do have time still. Yeah, we have plenty of time for that. So I'm going to be showing you a card from Tarot de Marseille deck. And if you can just type 1 or 2 words, what do you think the function of this card is? I would suggest using verbs for this one, if you could. So yeah, I'm showing you just the full cards. I'll just give you like a few seconds for you to type up what do you see in the full as the function of the full. Action, function. Lead. Leading the cat. Yeah, okay. Anyone's wandering? Journey. Walking. Walking forward. Yes, in Tarot de Marseille, full walks forward. And that's what I like, because the full can be placed anywhere in the sequence of the cards, right? So yeah, walk, wander, that's what we see, right? That's what we say. That's the function of the full. Next one, if I show you the Magician, I stole my cards now, and I'm showing you the Dodal deck because it's just easier to see. So this particular Magician, what's his function? Oh, probably better to if I move it away a little bit. Feeling free for the full freedom, okay? Yep. And the Magician? Manifest. You see, it's quite different, right? So as I showed you, Magicians, how we would read them in RWS deck and in Marseille. So yeah, I see him as a trickster, right? So for me, the function will be to trick, to bluff. But also, I mean, we add more cultural references based on the meaning, but I'm just talking about the function. So we'll just move a little bit quick on that. So we see the papesse. Christine, you like Chepe? Yeah, you're always joining us. Crafting, yeah, for Magician. And papesse. Your favorite card, Savage Tarot? So I see her as read and learn. So again, the function, read, learn, right? Empress. Empress is next. And of course, I can't find her. I only got 22 cards. Okay, here she is. Yeah, well, Guardian of Secret, you see, her book is open, so maybe not for me. So for the Empress, ruling, yeah. So we have Empress and Emperor, so I guess we can probably do say rule for both, right? But the Empress, I guess, more like act coordinate, and Emperor is more, well, I guess both rule, but Emperor is more rule for both. Maybe for me, lead for the Emperor and command and execute, right? So the, I don't know how to move so you can see. Empress protection, that big shield. So again, that's what we can see as, right? So when we see shield and the function of the Empress, right? She's sitting, she is ruling. But as we apply our cultural referencing, right? So what we know from the culture and from our experience, that shield means protect, right? That's when the function comes together with our cultural response, right? Okay, Lovers. Did I miss Pope? Yeah, I miss Pope. So let's do quickly. You just type in the comments. I will read them later on. Yes, I use Dodal. It's Dodal by Flornois Chris. So the Pope, pray, teach, bless. That's what I see in this card. Is then Lovers. We know Lovers are choice, right? The Lovers can be also division, right? Decision, division, choosing. Chariot. So we can clearly see that Chariot is faster than the Emperor, right? So I would see him as drive. So he's moving, going, either going or coming, triumphing. Fighting could be possibly, yeah, depending, yeah. Because we don't see him fight directly, but we see that he's prepared, maybe. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go and come, yeah. Okay. Justice. Yeah, the Doddle deck, yeah, they do have all crazy eyes, rolling eyes, yep. So justice, we have that analysis, right? Analyze, discernment, discern, determine. Now a Hermit. So I'll just go through them quickly so we have enough time to go further in my presentation. The time is just flying. So we have the Hermit for shining the light on something, for wandering as well, right? But maybe a little bit slower than the Fool, and for seeking, searching for something. And then we have the Hangman. So the Hangman, suspend. So he's in suspension. So that's the most obvious one, right? We have Death. Again, so if you look at this particular one, and again, it doesn't have any labeling, right, in Marseille, but what we see, we can see maybe harvesting, right, using the scythe, maybe cutting something through, maybe dividing something. Temperance, of course, more precision, being precise and measuring, regulating or moderating. You know, a few of my temperances are here, my friends who help with moderation. Okay, Devil. So Devil, manipulate, right, buy and chain, and slave. Sorry, I have to go a little bit faster so I can share with you a couple of readings as well. I invite you to do a few readings with me. So Tower for blast, for destruction, right? So we can see directly the blast, but also liberation, because we can see that fire is going into the sky, right? A star. So that's for me the card of freedom more than a fool, because she stripped clothes away, her clothes away, and she's comfortable, but also spilling, surrendering, trusting, shining. If you use the shining guiding star, the moon. I missed the wheel of fortune, but anyway, so I'll just show it to you now. That's the change, right? So we all know spinning wheel of fortune. I may have missed a few cards, but that's all right. So we have the sun here. That shine, illuminate, and brighten. Judgment. I love this card. For me, it's loud call, but also announcing, sounding, and hearing. And we have the world. So yeah, this is just that, to cover the cards by function. So that's what I look. I ask the question. I put cards into the drawer on the table, and then I look at the function of the cards. But then also direction is important, where the faces are looking, right? So, but also direction is because cards come from European tradition, right? So, and the writing is from the left to the right. So that's how I kind of tend to read the cards, because culturally that's more makes more sense to me to go like we would read a book the same way. And then, of course, embodiment. We look at the embodiment with what do we see? Do we see human figures? Do we see more celestial representations like the sun and the moon? Or do we see animals in the cards? So that's what we go as well with. Gesture, super important. That's what I love Tarot de Marseille, because you can very easily to see what actions are those characters depicted on the cards are performing. So they can either sitting or walking or driving like in a chariot, or measuring the water, non-spilling the water, or stomping with the thighs and chopping the heads, right? So the gestures or actions that we have. Camelia Ellis, she always asks, like teachers, one of the primary things is to determine when you do a reading who is doing what to who. And that for me has been quite powerful. And of course the loudness, the voice as well can matter. So like trumpet is blowing loud. That's that. And of course then we have experiential associations. So for me, coming from my experience, and my experiences in yoga, right? So I probably would look to the left and the right side of the card, and the left side for me will indicate the yin side, right? So it's more like receptivity, passivity, maybe darkness, and the right side will indicate the yang energy. So that's more the action and moving forward, right? So that's what I look at as well on the experiential level. And also I like to look at the cards, what's happening above and below, so up and down. So being grounded, more like kind of, again, my association would be not necessarily mentioning chakras, but it's sort of like the lower, the physical body, the primal needs of the, and again, we can watch how the feet are positioned, right, where they're facing, but that's more like your physical material needs. But if you go from the waist up, we have the heart, and then we have the head. So we have more heart and mind and spiritual realm here as well. So we can discern the cards reading this way as well. So that's that. And now I will show you a little sample draw that I did, and I will ask you a question, and then I'll give you a minute so you can come up with the answer to the question based on what you see in the cards. So my question is, I am good at seeing, no, sorry, that's not the question. Yeah, there you go. What am I good at? So that's the question. What am I good at? And then you see the cards here. You see the sun, you see the wheel of fortune, and you see the hermit. So can you come up with one liner to answer my question? What am I good at? So while I'm waiting, I'll just kind of talk to you. So again, the function of the hermit, right? So walk and shine the light on things. The function of the wheel of fortune, change, right? Turning wheel, and the sun, of course, reflecting the light, illumination and brightening. We can also notice that the hermit, which I see it as me, what am I good at? He is the biggest figure in the cards. And he is also almost like shining the light all the way, even through or to or above the sun. I am good at being one. I love this one. Not being anxious about change, appreciating the good things and self-reflecting, spinning your wheels and thinking. Well, what I had for this one, I am good at seeing the above. So I'm good. So you see, again, if I go for the right and the left, right, so we have the yin side, the yang side. So again, shining the light and being above everything. So I am good, if I look at him as my significator clearly in the cards, right, I am good at seeing from the above and illuminating. So I'm good at illuminating the natural change, right? So the wheel of change. So I am good. So that's my kind of answer was to this question. I am good at seeing from the above and illuminating the changing nature of things from the darkness, because we see the yin side on the left from the darkness into the light. So I illuminate from both sides, and that's the nature of things, the changing nature of things. So that's what I had for my 3-line reading. And that's how I do my readings. You see, I have a question, and for 3-card draws every day, I just lay 3 cards and I read them. So that's kind of my 3-card reading spread. Another one, a couple of you who I am in group, Marseille group, knows this question, but let's do it again. So I will give you a question, and there are the cards. So I'll try to hold those for you. So you know I'm a yoga practitioner, so the question is, and I'm only repeating it for you guys who've seen it because I've printed it and my printer kind of almost died. So why am I stuck? What was my question? Yeah, I think, why am I stuck in yoga? How can I get unstuck? How can I get unstuck in my yoga practice? So we have here the devil, the Mason, the tower, and the lovers. The devil, the tower, and the lovers. How can I get unstuck in my yoga practice? Or what's the situation with my yoga practice? I think I have 8 more minutes here, 7 more minutes. Okay. So help someone remove the foot behind your head. That's an interesting one. So what I had is that how can I get unstuck? I need to make a choice, right? So the final card is the choice. I need to make a choice to burst out as the tower, right? To break through the chains to the teacher or the guru that I've been chained, or I guess put on a pedestal myself. So to get unstuck, I will need to make that choice to break through the chains and imprisonment I kind of put myself into. And then this spread is actually to do or not to do for additional cards. So that's the situation. And then I have the hangman to do and the hermit for not to do. So my one-liner for the first kind of the major 3 cards for the situation of my question is, make a choice to break through the chains of the teacher you have put on a pedestal. And then I have what to do. Break away from the routine. Yep. And to do pretty much literally go stand on your head, right? Flip upside down, get the blood flowing to your brain. Take time away, alone. Doing versions, yeah, that's what I see in the Hangman, and because the question is about yoga, right, Kelly Bay, and because that's my experiential association, so that's what I see in this card. And then what not to do, I had don't retrieve into the past, leave the past behind. So that was that. I will need to finish now. So I will just quickly share with you one more of my favorite spreads. And it looks like that, but the direction of the cards is different. And then I will need to hand over to Simon. So this is the French cross spread, one of my favorite ones. So just have a look. And if you want, just quickly jot down while I read you. So the cards you put in the order 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't put the fifth card. So number one card, it's you. And so it's you, and also it's the past, right? So number two card is what's opposing you. So what's opposing you is number two, and that's your future as well, can be related to, no, or maybe no, past, current energies, because this is a French cross. Yeah, current energies in play. Then card number three is advice, and also it's the card of your head. So what am I thinking? It can be written in a different way, either advice or what are my thoughts if you choose to. And card number four is the outcome, and it's the card of the feet. So is that where I'm coming from or where I am heading to? This card in the middle is the synthesis. So and synthesis means you use the major arcana cards only, and what you do, you add the numbers of your number 1, 2, 3, 4, and if it's more than 22, you add those numbers, and then you find in your deck, you find the synthesis cards, and you read it as the center of your reading, and is what do I know deep down. So that's that, and I will link later on once my video uploads. I will link Camille Elias' article on the spread. She describes it and gives a good example of the reading, but this one is one of my favorite spreads. So I have 3 more minutes, and are there any questions? I know that I had to rush a little bit, but I hope so much that you enjoyed it, and I hope so much that you kind of got a little bit of inspiration or a different way, because I've learned so much from all of you during this Tarothon, and I just hope so much that you kind of also got inspired maybe to play around with your majors only from time to time. Yeah, Chepis, he said enough with my preparation, Simon. And so I will just wait for another 2 minutes and then I'll hand over to Simon. I will read the comments again a little bit later because now I'm going to jump over. So while I have time and I don't see any questions coming unless I'm a little delayed, of course. I'm handing over to Simon at the Hermit's Cave, and that will be the last hour of Tarothon, of this amazing event that I'm sure so many of us have enjoyed, and I'm so honored to be a part of this community. I'm so honored to be a part of this event this year. And Simon, you will find his link to his live in the description of my video below, and of course the name of his live where he will be doing the summary of Tarothon 2020, and of course giveaway, which is amazing, and you kind of get you need to head over there to Simon's channel and see who won a beautiful giveaway, and Simon will explain all about that. Very exciting. We have a new channel in the community, so I'm just kind of going to say that. And of course, the Simon will close close the Tarothon 2020, which has been absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for all the kind words. I see the comments now are coming through. And if you have any questions, please just post them in the comments below or send me a message. My email is musingsbymarsa@gmail.com, just all one word in small letters. Thank you, Jane Kelly. I love you too. Oh, thank you so much, Corvin. All right, so thank you so much, everybody, and please head over to Simon's at the Hermit Caves channel for the wrap-up of the Tarothon 2020. I will see you there in 30 seconds. Namaste, everybody. Love you all so much.